God damn it. Bloody hell. As soon as I was able to speak, fucking hell. Congested. What happened there? Right. Hello there. Sean the congested chest guy, I guess. Congested throat for some reason. Just, you know, just wanted to ruin my intro. Anyway. Yes, I'm a little bit late. I'm a lot late. So first off, I couldn't get to sleep last night. So I was like, oh, well, fuck this. I'll just, you know, stay up for a little bit until I'm tired again. You know, I was in bed for like 2 hours and then stayed up until 5 a.m. Heads up, this will be one of the streams you'll be a bit inactive on. Avis has invited to dive into hell for a second time. Alrighty. Alrighty then. Yeah, so anyway, basically just been kind of a weird sleeping situation for me since, you know, I had an alarm, but my brain had other plans for me. Anyway, we're gonna be continuing. I swear to God, I've got some coil wine on my, like, with my computer. I don't know if it's the, power, the PSU. But yeah, there's some coil wine going on somewhere. Because it is constant now. I thought it was a fan. It's not a fan. It's definitely coil wine. I don't know if I mean, you might hear it sometimes, but like, because it's audible, but I don't know if the mic will pick it up. Have we ever considered the kidnapper as bluffing and won't kill Maya? Well, see, that's where we gotta be careful. So we don't know if the kidnapper's bluffing, and if he isn't, well, there goes Maya. So that's the, you know, that's the comeback to that. Anyway. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian. No way. Not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She's your manager. She is your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. So after the ceremony, during the break, huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See? She could have also easily planned that blood-covered button in your comma. Because she was the one that came to wake me up. Then, dude, you're saying it really was her? Yes, she is the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Carita. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be all right. I'll get you acquitted by the end. Fuck. It'll be all right. I'll get you acquitted by the end of the day. By the end of today. I mean, that's the whole thing that's going to be riding on. But why does he need? Why does he need? Why does the killer need him to be acquitted by today. Why? That's the big fucking question. And I think the reason why there was no Magatamas was because he ordered, I think that this is what I think. Again, this could just be memory. This could just be memory, like, that, you know, I've forgotten. But I know I can't trust him for some reason. Just because of that fact. Because of the fact that the killer, who has Maya kidnapped, you know, you know, obviously he's done it on paid, you know, he's been paid to do so, right? Anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. See if I'm right. Phoenix nearly became Californian. Alright, bro. Give me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze. Okay, Mr. Lawyer, dude? Phoenix? You think her motive is related to the Celeste Impacts? Celeste Impacts' missing suicide note? Hang on, let me reread that. You think her motive is related to Celeste Impacts' missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Andrews depended on Miss Impacts as her strength and reason to live. But then Miss Impacts suddenly killed herself. It sounds like she left a suicide note and the person thought to have hidden it. And the person who thought to have hidden it, that's how I was meant to say it, is Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think that Miss Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida. All to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible. But one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Andrews' dependency issues with regards to Miss Impacts. It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. In this entire town, have we seen anyone not white or Asian? There's no black. Well, there was that. There was the cowboy. He had tan skin. So, you know. And Acro. Yeah, Acro is another one. Oh, God. I mean, I guess they looked Native American, but anyway. They could be Filipino. They could be... They could be any... You know... They could be, you know, Mexican. Darker-skinned Mexican. Mexicans can be white, but they can also be brown skin as well. Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. What is your occupation? I'm the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt Ungard. I see. Now then. Before I begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure. What is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing. I would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even heard of Gossipland. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim.
Yes, I was seeing Mr. Kurita. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself.
So it was a fry and bait matter, or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing.
But I didn't kill him.
No one is accusing you of that.
I think there's someone who would beg to differ.
I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well. Very well, then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place.
It was time for the show to start. So I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. And there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice.
You poured yourself a glass of juice?
Yes. Sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing.
And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness.
Phoenix? She's one cool and collected customer. And she has the brains to match.
Yes, I know.
In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing.
Disrupt her pacing?
She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. So you have to attack when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant this trial is over. Understand?
I want to get Matt from his room. And why did you do that?
As a friendly gesture. Juan used to make an appearance with the other heroes.
So the show is supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason?
I beg your pardon? What are you implying?
You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim.
Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time.
I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? This is the photo you're referring to, correct?
Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest.
And the guitar case was like this too?
Yes, it was open and empty, of course.
And then what did you do next, witness? Juice?
Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself.
But you didn't drink any of it, did you?
Huh?
There were no lip marks left on this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it.
I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it.
Doesn't sound like there's any glaring contradictions in her testimony just now.
I warned you earlier that she would not crack so easily. The only way to make her is to keep on the offensive and not let up. Okay, I have to find something just for Maya's sake. And this one's a little bit tricky. Okay, we have to press her. You were in shock? What, was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person. And despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Kurita. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. And you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. I see. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Kurita, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind really was a complete blank at the time. Your mind was a complete blank? I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake, that one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards? It was originally on top of the dresser. It was originally on top of the dresser. But when I bumped into it, my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess. It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. What kind of flower vase was it? It was a glass vase, and it was fairly big and heavy. I thought I would try to take Kwan's pulse, so I set the glass I was holding down on the dresser, and that's when my elbow accidentally hit the vase. It's odd. I thought she was always in total control of herself. That's what she would like people to think. Always be mindful of the gap between your perception and reality. Doesn't sound like the same glaring... Yeah. Fell onto the guitar case. Hang on. It's either crime scene photo or the guitar case itself. I'm gonna use the guitar case first. Objection! Yep, there we go. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes. And are you sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem, it's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that fucking hell. You testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. That's very true. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. And what is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shards should be inside, not outside the case. What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No. Think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say she didn't touch the guitar case. But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. There was no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be. However, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? It seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for the straws like this. But it is you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. All right, I'll follow along for now. Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As to why I opened the case, even I don't know. It looks like this really wasn't a very important point. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling. I'm just gonna have a strike. Don't mind me.
All of this just works. And again, it just works.
Oh yeah, it's just working for me right now. Fucking hell.
Your Honor, I'd like to ask, is the witness actually Andrew? Or is she perhaps...
Who, Buzzy? Didn't even fucking say Samus Aran. He managed to say Andrew. Okay, anyway. This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using anyway to change the topic, a convenient escape for a weak man. During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see... Are you sure you're the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependent side is taking over. Well, Miss Andrews? Yes, it was me. Yes, it was me. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. So, you opened the guitar case then? Yes, well, maybe. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Mr. Kurita's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case. As the witnesses said multiple times when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was all right or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic. Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright. Sorry. Was that because you were shocked and dazed discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try. Come on, Phoenix, we can't afford to let up on her now. I wasn't planning on letting up, but she's at her weakest now, so this is our chance. Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with. I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record, waiting to be found. Yeah, I think that's probably... Damn it. Fucking motorbike. Apparently it's the...
apparently...
Okay, hang on. Ah, White, hang on a second. Bears Karina's fingerprints. It would have bared her fingerprints. Okay, hang on. There's no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on this guitar case are those of the victim.
What is it, Miss Andrews?
You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case.
What do you mean?
What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time?
Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time?
It was the night of the award ceremony. So of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, and now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves.
I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime.
You were wearing gloves. Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time?
I have your proof right here. This wine glass.
The wine glass?
You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case?
You can fuck off.
What is that? Oh, what the fuck? This thing fucking... I don't know how to fucking respond to that one. I don't know how to read that. Order, order, order.
It looks like you hit the nail on the head this time.
What do you mean?
I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty, though. But the guitar, the bright red guitar was at the studio. Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either.
I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves despite the fact that on the case... Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honor. Please recall that Miss Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I'm sure this case has some relation to the murder. If you are so sure, Wright, and I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright?
Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case.
The bright red guitar not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest that that bright black guitar was in the...
Shut up, Your Honor.
For goodness sake, shut up, Your Honor. So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty? Is that it, Wright?
I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove.
Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? And why would something like that be inside a guitar case, let alone this one? Why, Mr. Wright? Why, Mr. Wright? Why?
Well, I just thought it might have been possible.
I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be? Yes, I'll never bring it out again.
Can a foolish fool get some love? Okay, what am I supposed to present then?
I would have thought she was looking for the suicide note.
Okay, apparently it's Lotta's photo.
This is a photograph.
Yes, but what is important is what is in that photograph, Your Honor.
In this picture?
It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume.
What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself.
Right. You are saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume?
What inane point would there be to doing something like that?
That inane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews?
I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such preposterous idea?
Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct?
You mean this photo? Order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we?
Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later.
So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume could have been Mr. Matt on guards.
Look at this photograph, it's a Nickel Samurai in graph. Fuck the rhymes.
What? I mean, it doesn't even rhyme, it's just the same word. You could have said, look at this photograph. The Nickel Samurai is not a giraffe. Look at this photograph. It's Nickel Samurai having a bath. God. Anyway, why would something of the defendants be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places.
True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this nickel samurai costume doing inside the guitar case?
It was a spare costume, I guess. Mr. On Guard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we are talking about was a spare one.
What? Then are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 nickel samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel?
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case?
It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose.
But why? The victim, Mr. Kurita, was the German ninja. Why would he secretly bring the nickel samurai spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act?
And therein lies the sticking point.
What are you mumbling at? What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue?
Huh? No, I just...
Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the nickel samurai spare costume?
Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the nickel samurai spare costume to the hotel was...
What is this?
On the night of the murder after the stage show, I thought there's gonna be a reason why we have this. On the night of the murder after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special conference, a special press conference.
A press conference?
Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up right. What struck me as strange was that Mr. On Guard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night.
But how can that be?
The way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Kurita himself.
The victim?
Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Kurita was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai.
He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing?
That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Kurita, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Man on Guard.
Yes, I guess that is what it would mean.
But if that's the case, that's not a confession. That's public disclosure.
Miss Andrews?
I can see why you are pros at what you do.
Pardon me?
Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan.
Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this.
I was the one he asked to help it. Fuck me. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me.
You?
Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure that Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought anyway.
He was going to ruin him, huh?
It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands, it looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed.
What? What? And do you know what this secret of Mr. Ungard is, Miss Andrews?
Not something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is.
Ah, I see.
I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. But that's just to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all.
Protect Mr. On Guard? And yet again another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Miss Andrews, if you could please tell us the truth about your behavior.
Yes, Your Honor, I understand. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what, and he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt I had to protect him.
This does account for everything.
Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her. We're finally seeing her true self. She is more nervous than a scared rabbit. She is more nervous than a scared rabbit.
If the defense can find no fault with the testimony, I am ready to make a ruling. Please keep that in mind as you cross-examine Mr. Wright.
Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down.
Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you?
Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things.
3 things?
A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. And if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that. You should have already known that, Phoenix.
They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember.
May I continue now?
So would you say this need came from the press conference?
Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event and the hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt on Guard.
And you knew this plan, didn't you, And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Miss Andrews?
Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume.
But I'm sure Mr. On Guard himself didn't know anything about the press conference.
Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference?
Anyway, the important thing here is this information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree, Miss Andrews. Please correct your testimony, if you please.
Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright?
Has Mr. On Guard done something to hurt or betray you personally?
Why do you ask?
You were the one who helped Mr. Carita with his press conference. And that event was supposed to bring down Mr. On Guard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. On Guard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. In any case, this means that the defendant had a motive to kill.
Why do I keep doing this to myself?
But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. On Guard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover Mr. On Guard?
I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at that time.
I keep trying, but I can find no flaws with what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however.
The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and his murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jammin' Ninja's costume.
You're talking about this button, correct?
That button was found in the pleats of Matt's Hakama. Isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence.
Looks like you're outfoxed again, Mr. Wright.
Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes.
Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony.
Okay. Apparently... Apparently this. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died.
And what does that mean?
Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when... after the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which means... it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle. Because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There's no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off the victim's already dead body.
Order! Order! What is the meaning of this?
What is the meaning of this, Wright? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it?
Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it?
There was only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard. There's no way anyone would put a bloodied button in their own pants. That's right. Mr. On Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course.
And the real murderer is... well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer, then?
Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. On Guard is... one Karita himself. No. Miss Allbag. Somehow Will Powers again. It was Pearl. Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you. You are Mr. Karita's killer. What? What?
Order, order, order! Mr. Wright, this is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge?
Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. But how preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Matt. It was used to throw suspicion onto Matt On Guard, naturally. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Then... What? What about the button that was found in Matt... And what about the button that was found in Matt's Hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. On Guard was the real killer, there's no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. What the? I don't know how to fucking... The only person who could have put this button into Mr. On Guard's Hakama was the person who went to wake him from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews.
I see. What about the empty guitar case?
That's also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. That costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a... costume inside the guitar case? It could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. I didn't think she... I am starting to piece this together. I'm starting to piece this together. I think she's trying to frame Matt On Guard. But I don't think she's the murderer. If you catch what I'm thinking. No. A sound sample. You need better ones than me going, ah, ah. Otherwise I'll never voice these characters again if you do that. As in, I'll never voice sounds like that. You get them live and you don't get them at all. Anyway. No, But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found in the guitar case.
And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anyone had found out that she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. I don't know. It's like, it's meant to be like, injury. The trouble is, I can't do a convincing womanly injured voice. Like, there's no way I can do it. You know, without creating a fucking sound clip. Anyway. And to top it all off, there's this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. On Guard. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not?
Please stop.
Well, how about it, Miss Andrews?
I've got her this time.
Miss Andrews?
I refuse to testify.
What was that?
There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me.
Well, yes, you are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination, but allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves.
What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot.
Actually, thinking back yesterday in Miss On Guard's room.
Adrian Andrews? Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? All right.
That's it. That's what Francesca planted this idea in her head. That's when Francesca planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things look bad.
You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done.
Something I haven't done? What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless.
What?
Everything you have proven is circumstantial.
Circumstantial?
Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Kurita. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Kurita?
I believe this may lead me to incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering.
But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think?
Maybe so, or maybe not. There's nothing to prove either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence.
No!
She's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow we've landed in the worst possible situation.
I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Miss Adrian Andrews has refused to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true. In this situation, there's only one thing this court can do, and that is to declare a recess.
Recess?
I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter, and at tomorrow's trial.
Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial. Please continue the trial.
What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he?
That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya...
But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true Miss Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were something unrelated to that... If the topic of conversation were something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but... Actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious... Actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews. When you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice.
Yes, and...
I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice.
So my actions were unusual, but I've already...
Before you speak, I want you to state if you have a reason behind your actions. I would like you to testify to that effect.
Testify?
Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. Whatever we find out in this testimony should in no way implicate the witness. Should in no way implicate the witness.
I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he friend or foe? I just don't know.
The court acknowledges the prosecution's request. Miss Andrews, if you please.
That glass of juice, I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and saw it in that messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. When I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. When I realized that he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over.
So you poured that glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you say so in your testimony? Why didn't you say so earlier in your testimony?
I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left.
I know.
Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours?
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
So it was a mess. Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight with Mr. Kurita?
I understand your frustrations in not being able to prove your theory, however. Before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then what did you see next, witness? You fucking dropped it. Slumped over?
Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd?
Then what did cross your mind?
I thought maybe he had smashed everything up in anger because he lost the Grand Prix. Then felt tired after his rampage. So he decided to take a nap. Anyways, that's what I thought.
I see. So you didn't think he was dead at all?
To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something. So I went to pour him some juice.
You thought he fainted?
I thought he was asleep at first, but then the room was in such a messy state. I thought maybe he had gotten into a fight with someone.
And that's when you went to pour the glass of juice?
Yes, he always has a hard time waking up. So one always has a glass of tomato juice to drink.
I see. And after that, what happened next? And how'd you come to realize he was in fact dead?
I shook him over and over, but I never got a response. So I set the glass down on the dresser and tried to take his pulse. I was shocked and staggered backward.
And knocked the flower vase over. So that's what happened.
Yes. This is what it all comes down to. Huh? This is the absolute end for both sides. And Adrian is letting her guard down. Phoenix, now is our best chance yet to kill the prosecution's case. Isn't that a bit harsh? Miss Andrews, would you tell us the truth this time?
You know, this makes sense. It's like I was thinking, I was like, well, you didn't notice he was dead yet. It would have had a knife sticking in him. So you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him?
No, not at all.
Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body? What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There's a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Kurita's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that he... Anyone who saw this scene would have immediately thought that here was a dead man.
Well, you see...
I doubt a single person in the world will mistake this for someone who fainted. And then so nonchalantly go pour something to drink. Your point is, Miss Andrews, your testimony just now was all one giant lie. And your lie has proven one thing very clearly. That you are the real killer.
No!
It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. Defendant Mr. Matangard is not guilty after all.
But that's impossible. You're wrong.
Miss Andrews, try to have some composure.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt, I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you're the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because...
Miss Andrews, I will give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you?
I refuse to testify.
And there is no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Madongard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated.
Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't.
Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Mr. Madongard. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. This witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth? What are you... Witness? Witness. Don't you understand yet?
Huh?
I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head. But as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Madongard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party.
That's a lie. I don't believe you.
What?
I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt would never be declared guilty.
What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it?
I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Francesca von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another, because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss Von Karma. Don't say a word, no matter what happens. If you do, Madongard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now, and is clinging onto them.
What should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this.
But Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do now is get on not guilty. That is my only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you, please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help. Please help. Someone, please help me.
Mr. Wright?
Yes, Your Honor.
The court can't continue on like this, therefore I'd like to hear what you intend to do.
What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say?
Right. I suggest you think very clearly about this. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what this witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime.
Who is the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there, right?
Come now. What will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright?
I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this. Not when she's making a face like that.
Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you were really hiding. Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing?
Sure. Mr. On Guard would get an acquittal, but in his place would be Sure, Mr. On Guard would get an acquittal, but in his place, you would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? But be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me.
That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth.
You're wrong.
What a shame. I'd hoped that things wouldn't come to this. However, what is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose to this court.
Stop.
Mr. Edgeworth? This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness.
What?
And because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past.
Stop. Please stop.
No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. I have the evidence right here.
That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report.
What will you do now, witness? You know what I am about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews.
The secret of her dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. Please stop. I beg you. If people find out, I'll...
If you're going to say you would choose death, that is of no concern to me.
Edgeworth, how can you be so cold?
However, before you die, I will pull the truth from your still breathing lips, no matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me.
I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted, honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a dash back to Matt's room. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with the knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai's costume.
Yep, just as I thought. Just as I thought. Again, it's been so long since I played this, I don't even know if I got this far. But I just had an inkling that, yeah, I don't think she was the murderer. I don't think she was the murderer, and I think she did tamper with the crime scene. Stabbed the body with a knife? But why would you do that?
Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man.
What do you mean by all... What do you mean by all this? It might take this court a little while to understand, but... this is the truth.
The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man, I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time?
So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Garita, in the chest with a knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt on guard for the murder. And this is her crime.
What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer?
Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination.
But you could tell from the state the room was in that there must have been a fight. Are you telling the truth when you say you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck. That scarf is part of the Jammin' Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I thought I'd wake him up and went to pour the juice. My nose isn't congested, but there's like a... Hang on. Yeah, it's like... Right, there we go. What is this plan you had? I knew right away the murderer was Matt. I knew because Juan... He was going to expose Matt's weakness. He was going to expose Matt's weakest weak point in the world. Weakest weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin this crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to mind was to plant the knife. Okay, press enters on all statements. Alright. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used at dinner was... The knife Matt used as dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. I slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime. And then I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. Oh, hang on. So you were the one to stab the victim with the knife? It gives me goosebumps to think about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. And then when I stabbed Juan's dead body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button, somehow I could make Matt look even more suspect. More suspect. So you thought to rip one of the buttons off and then plant it in Mr. On Guard's Hakama? Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. An inconvenience? There was a woman with a camera. There was a woman with a camera at the ready, loitering in the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta. There was a woman with a ray gun at the ready, pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. I had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. You're the one who You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put it into Juan's guitar case the day before the award ceremony.
You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct?
Yes. Juan wanted to wear that costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there.
And what is this secret?
That, I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave my fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume.
I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Engarde's room and planted the button.
Into Matt's Akama, yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it. Then I snuck it out of the hotel and got rid of it.
My word. What does all this mean?
Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Engarde. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sat me down for a talk. Francisca, huh? She said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I had done. That if I had just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words.
What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she is not the real killer.
Wait, Your Honor. The defense still...
Right. It's pointless. At this point in time, it's not possible to indict Mr. Andrews. And at this point in time, it's not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright.
But...
Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrews under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today.
Today's trial, it's over. And I didn't win an acquittal.
Witness, would you mind if I asked you something?
Edgeworth. What is it?
Before you leave court today, I wondered if you might look at one thing. The card in your hand. It's had my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it?
Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now I found this in the room on that day.
The room? That day?
Yes. I found this card when I discovered Juan's body. It was lying there right next to him.
You found that card next to the victim's body?
I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any relevance to Juan's murder, right?
Yeah, I guess not, but it's still a strange card if you ask me.
As far as a clue to this case, I don't see why...
Witness, that card! Give it to me, hurry!
Edgeworth?
Do you have any idea what you have stupidly yet inadvertently done? I can't believe you hid this from me all this time!
I didn't mean to... What is this all about? I've never seen Edgeworth so emotional before. That card. What in the world is it? What does it mean? I think what's happened is Matt on guard is so fucking stupid. He wanted like an acquittal day one. And yeah. He specifically hired the, Duck Killer for that. March 22, 5:24 p.m. Wright and Company law offices. Mystic Maya. There are pearls. I can't take it anymore. I'm not gonna fucking cry. I'm not gonna make an annoying crying sound from my fucking voice. Look, it'll be all right. Everything may still work out. Condition was that we had to get a not guilty verdict. And so far, the kidnapper has kept his word and hasn't hurt Maya. And he won't because Mr. On Guard hasn't been given a guilty sentence yet. The fucking, sound, I could make... No, I'm not doing it. Cheer up. We don't have time to stand around crying. We have to get going. You're right. Mystic Maya is in much more pain than I am. Yes, that's right. So...
Hey, you guys, glad I caught you, pal.
Mr. Scruffy Detective. Oh boy, looks like Detective Gumshoe has been dubbed Mr. Scruffy Detective in Pearl's book now.
It's just plain old Mr. Dick Gumshoe now, and I came to talk to you, pal.
We're kind of busy right now. So what are you going to do from now on?
What do you mean, pal?
Well, you've been fired, right? So, do you have a new job lined up yet?
Oh, that, what am I supposed to do now, pal? I don't have anything coming in at all until my next payday.
What are you talking about? You don't have another payday?
I guess that means I'm just gonna have to work here at your place, pal.
Say what?
You'll be searching for things that will prove Mr. On Guard's innocence all day, right?
Well, yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to help you, pal. I've had lots of experience in investigating and watching over people's places. And I'm great at making really simple meals, pal. I'll take care of it all.
Come on, Mr. Nick. Let's let Mr. Scruffy Detective take care of things. Okay. By the way, what's your best dish?
Instant noodles, pal.
Why am I surrounded by people who only eat cheap, unhealthy foods?
That was the first time I've seen Mr. Edgeworth act like that. Never thought he'd say something like that. He didn't care if Miss Andrews killed herself.
He said that? That's horrible.
But because of him doing that, we got the truth finally.
The truth? Miss Andrews' last testimony. I wonder if that was the truth. I'll give you that there was nothing strange in her testimony itself, but I still think there is something fundamentally wrong with the whole thing.
You mean about that thing, pal?
Why would she want to... No, I mean almost need to frame Mr. On Guard. I couldn't figure that out from anything she said all day.
Then you're saying that testimony was a lie?
Not a lie, per se. Just feels like there's more here than meets the eye. Or that's what Edgeworth would like us to believe. That's such a dirty trick. Even that woman prosecutor was better than that. Francesca von Karma. Speaking of Miss Von Karma, do you have any more information on her condition? Wasn't she shot this morning?
Miss Von Karma was shot today on the way to the trial by a pistol, pal.
But she's going to be fine, right? I mean, Edgeworth said she was in stable condition, but...
Well, she was shot in the shoulder, so she's okay and still hanging in there. They should be done taking the bullet out, so she's probably resting at the hospital.
Which one?
What, are you going to visit her, pal?
No, well, I was kind of thinking about it.
Hey, you've actually got a heart, don't you? She looked like she was being tortured to death, not being able to go to the trial today. So maybe it'd be good for her if you weren't. So maybe it'd be good for her if you went and let her whip you a bit, pal.
Let's go and let her whip us, Mr. Nick. No, I'm definitely not going.
Let's see. The name of the hospital. Oh yeah, the Hottie Clinic.
That name sends a chill down my spine. Well, I guess it can't hurt to stop by and say hi. Actually, what is happening? I might take an opportunity to take a little break. I saved, so let's see. Let's see what's happening. I don't know if there's going to be an extra spot. I'll ask anyway. It's because I feel like playing it. But all right, for now I'll yeah, hang on. I'll just put some music on now. All right. Anyway, I'll be back. So don't go away. Yeah. See you guys soon.